raw and nerdy.
Hi everybody, welcome back to Raw and Nerdy. This is episode number 52. I am Joe the Wigit, and I am joined by my best friends, fellow co-host, and your guys' stars, starting with Rook.
What's up, everybody? I was doing some math in my head, and I hurt my head.
Yeah, it can be painful doing math.
I
And
saw
we're
the
joined,
smoke.
as by that man who just interrupted me, Archon.
I saw the smoke while he was doing the math. It was coming out of his ears. It was. I was worried for a second.
No, because nobody's making this big deal that I'm about to make. Dude, this is episode 52. It's been a full year of Raw and Nerdy.
It's not the 1 year episode.
Because we had 6 extra episodes that were numbered on the same value.
Yeah, because we had all the our WonderCon episodes and stuff.
I went back and looked. Episode 58 will be our 1 year episode.
So we're almost there.
By definition, except for the weeks that we actually physically took off and had no recording outside of a quick 5-minute blurb, this
That's
is
not
our
the ones I'm
1 year
talking about.
mark.
But like when we went to LA Comic Con, we had a numbered episode that was put in the middle of the week.
And I don't count that one.
And we had 4 extras that were numbered that were in the middle of the week.
WonderCon.
For WonderCon.
Remember we did like 2 episodes a week?
Yeah.
So it should be like 58 or 57 would be technically our 1 year.
Oh, yeah, that one.
52 would be, if we did 1 per week, 52 would be our 1 year, obviously. Yeah. But we did all those extra episodes. We're almost there. We're getting there. We need
to stick with the numbering contention of
the 0.5
or convention of point whatever.
The only reason why I didn't do that
in
was
the middle of
because
the episode.
iTunes gets stupid about that. They don't allow you to do half episode like that.
Through iTunes.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they make up about 40% of our listener base.
Yeah, we need iTunes for now. But anyway, we're getting there, and when we do get to 1 year, we will make a big deal.
Yes, we got to do something fun and fancy with it.
No, now I'm not going to make a big deal about it.
And hopefully you'll be here for that episode. You need to be here for that episode.
I have not missed a Raw and Nerdy outside of... Wait, episode 58 is how many episodes away? 4 weeks?
6.
So I'm going to be missing this next Sunday. So that'll be 53. 4, 5, 6,
56
7,
is your off, but
8.
58 will be your off too. No?
57 would be his off.
57
Yeah, I'll be here for our year.
53 and 57.
Perfect. If I have to, I will swap with somebody.
Yeah, we'll make it work. Anyways.
So what we're going to be doing tonight, Mossy in our chat came up with some good suggestions, and so did Archon, about what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what games/movies we have highly anticipated throughout our many years, because this is kind of in honor of something that's coming out tomorrow that at least 2 of us are really excited about. And maybe, if we get time...
I'm not really excited about it.
What releases that we were anticipating highly disappointed us.
Right.
Mossy wants to know what kind of video game we would design for ourselves. What would it be like? What genre? And what mechanics would we put into it? And he wanted to know more about my game that I designed that was starting to be built but never finished. And we got a lot of stuff in the news too.
And I'm sure you all want to know about what we did in the Nerdy Week.
Yeah, I worked a 50-hour plus week last week. Lots of BS at work, really ticking me off. Some maybe illegal stuff going on. And
if y'all want to know about that, check our Discord.
Exactly, because I'm not going to talk about it on the air. Sorry. I did complain about it on Discord, though. I did play Starfield, though. Starfield, getting ready for tomorrow. Yeah, we've got 2 Starfield episodes coming out next week. Starfield Raw, if you didn't know about that. That based off the release coming out tomorrow. And I did a lot of working out. I worked out 6 days this week. And yeah, I've been keeping at it really hardcore. I'm stuck at the 190 pound mark. I cannot get past it. And I think it's because of my diet. I was cheating too much on my diet because of my travel recently. So I got to get back into that. But I did good, though.
You know, even when you're traveling, there are healthy options.
No, there are.
Yes.
You just don't want to eat them.
Exactly. I cheated.
I'll highly admit it.
I did.
It is all right to have a cheat day here and there.
I had a steak a week and a half ago, okay?
That's good.
I'm sorry, sir, but nobody makes good steaks like Morton's, the steakhouse.
Those were pretty good steaks.
Yes, they were.
That was really amazing. I would I would do whatever I could to get a hold of a good.
He would do
Wagyu
some very
right now.
shady things.
I want a Wagyu.
Yeah. Yeah, and I had a bite of that Wagyu and I wasn't impressed. I thought our steaks tasted just as good and they cost half as much.
I know, right?
That wasn't the best Wagyu I ever had. The ones that there's this butcher in Bakersfield, California that I go to, and they usually sell me Wagyus for about $40 to $50 a pound, depending on the price of the meat. And I'll get a good 12 ounce of that bad boy and plop it on the pan, or on the grill, or even on pan sear with butter. It's the best thing ever. Just a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. Dang it! Now I'm getting hungry. Thanks, guys.
You started it.
I did. Yeah, I actually did because I said cheating. It is
Man,
my
now I
diet.
want
I
steak.
ate too much sweets, stuff like that. I'm trying to cut sugar out of my diet. It's not easy to completely cut that out.
Yeah, I'm starting tomorrow, so.
I'm excited you're doing that.
Oh, yeah.
But that was my week. I didn't really do too much nerdy other than just work. And when I was traveling for work this week in Merced and Madeira, I got to my hotel room. I lay down on the couch and didn't move. I had the worst headache. I just didn't do anything that night. And then the rest of the days was all travel and working constantly. So, yeah. What about you guys? Give me something more interesting.
Well,
Wow. I'm offended, sir.
Why?
Why?
Talked about your week and didn't even talk about our BG3 game.
Because I'm letting you do that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can do that.
Well, I wasn't talking about my BG3 personal game, but I didn't see the point in really talking about it because I've been stuck on a fight all week.
Yeah.
There's this really, really hard fight. So I don't want to give any spoilers, so I'm not going to get into any descriptions about it. It involves one of the main characters in your party, and it's absolutely crazy. There are 13 or 14 enemies that are all around level 10 to 11 coming at you at once against your 4. And yeah, my Shadow Heart dies almost instantly every single start. And I'll have to reload, try it again without her dying. It's fun. I can't wait to do it with you guys or you Rook when we get to that point. Hopefully it'll be a lot easier.
Oh, yeah.
So what have you been up to, man?
Well, my week consisted not a whole lot. I did play some EverQuest, obviously, because what would be a week without playing some EverQuest? Did a couple raids like normal. It's all just kind of, I don't know. We're kind of in a situation right now where we're just waiting for the next expansion to come out in a week and a half. And I've been working on a druid. I got a druid up to level 60 and working on his epic quest because all my other characters have their epics done, so I might as well do it on my druid too. He's almost done. Been playing a lot of. I actually been playing quite a bit of Starfield this week. I was playing Starfield pretty much all day yesterday. Well, most of the evening yesterday while I was watching a little bit of football. My big excuse that I've been using for months now of I can't work out because my garage gym is in a disarray. Well, I went out yesterday morning and decided I was going to clean out my whole garage, rebuild my whole workout station. I got everything set up. I got my MRI done this week for my shoulder and found out that there's questionably a minor tear.
Why didn't you tell me about this?
Because you didn't ask. I was waiting for you to ask, and you never did.
Why should I have to ask?
But there's questionably a 1 millimeter tear in my labrum, which is the cup of your shoulder. And they said that's something that if I get a steroid, they said that's something that could potentially heal on its own. They're gonna send me to an orthopedic doctor. They're referring me to an orthopedic doctor right now, and they said that best case scenario, he can just give me a steroid injection directly into the spot, and it'll basically heal itself. So they said the best thing I can do right now is focus on strengthening the muscles around it and stuff to help it heal. So I decided I'm gonna clean out my garage, put my gym together, and jump on this workout train with a lot of the other people in Discord, and hopefully get some strengthening going. And if I'm gonna be strengthening my shoulder, I might as well do the rest too. I mean, there's no point in just working on my shoulders. No sense
that would make you look really weird.
Yeah,
have these massive shoulders and then a dad bod going on underneath it. That'd just be silly. So
I've seen a lot of that though, where guys do a lot of chest, shoulders, and arms, and don't work out anything else.
Have little chicken legs.
Yeah.
Have little chicken legs.
I did leg day today.
Beer belly, and chicken legs.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm gonna starting tomorrow morning. Before the Shattered Space launch, I'm gonna go out into my little gym out there and do some working out and see what I can do and what I can't, and go from there.
You need to keep your results and progress posted in Discord to keep you motivated.
I will. The first thing I'm gonna do when I wake up in the morning is do my initial weigh-in, and I'll post that in Discord, and then yeah, I'll probably do like weekly progress updates,
Sweet.
at least at first.
It's gonna help me also keep at it. I mean, I've been going really, really good with it. I mean, when I travel to San Diego, the hotel I stay in has the worst gym, so I only do like minor exercises, push-ups, sit-ups, that kind of thing. But
Yeah, I'm not going as hard as you, but I'm gonna start out at a pace I can keep up with. Like, I mean, I'm very out of shape. My initial weigh-in's probably gonna be somewhere in the realm of like 262 pounds. So I got a lot of work to do. My goal is to see the scale under 200. That's what I want. So as long as I can get there, then we'll see where I go from there. But that's where I'm. That's where
that's
I'm
a
heading.
good goal, man.
Yeah. So
That's it.
gonna slowly try and give up soda, pop, whatever you want to call it. I'm gonna
Yeah,
slowly
that's the
try and
hard
give
part.
that up.
I haven't had a
Um,
Mountain Dew in 3 months, and I'm happy about that.
To be fair, though, I do drink zero sugar, so
Well, that's fine. I'll have a
that's a
zero
help.
sugar soda every now and then because it's low calorie.
It's zero
No
calorie, but
calorie.
yeah, it's zero calorie, but it's still got a lot of bad stuff, and it still bloats you really bad. So carbonation's not good for you, regardless. So I'm gonna try and cut it down and cut it out, but until the headaches fade, I can't cut it out. So I'm gonna have to work on it. But yeah, other than that, I've just, like I said, played a lot of Starfield the last couple days because Shattered Space comes out tomorrow, and I'm pretty amped for it. So that's been my week.
So,
Awesome.
fun fact.
Okay, I
Fun
love fun
fact.
facts.
I like fun.
0-calorie drinks still have calories in them.
A little bit.
FAA guidelines: anything under 5 calories, they can mark as 0 calories. FDA, sorry, not
Yeah.
Federal Aviation Administration.
I was gonna say,
FDA
dude,
guidelines.
Yeah, but even like gum, at least says it has 5 calories in it.
Yeah, they're not required. If it's anything under 5 calories, they can put 0 because it's negligible, really.
That's still good though, especially if you're
Yeah.
on a like 2,000 calorie.
I need to get
diet
my
at home.
Mios. That's I left the world of water behind because I got to get my Mios, man.
That's what I need to get is some of the Mio energies that have caffeine in them, so that I can drink water but still not get migraines.
Mm-hmm. I get migraines regardless.
I have this one, the black cherry. It's really good. The Mio Energy.
It looks popped.
Oh, it's just squeezed the whole all get out.
Probably almost
I've
gone.
used it.
It's well used.
His cherry's well used.
The cherry's
Wow.
been popped.
Finally, you got it.
Rook,
Man,
what you been up
Kilo
to,
would have
man?
picked on that really quick.
Yeah, we got to get him on the show one of these days.
All right, well, I have no life. Since I've been in Texas, my schedule is a 50-hour week on average. 55 hours, roughly. And I'm more of a morning person than I am a late night person, so my shift I really hate, but it is what it is.
You'll
I
get
played
there.
I played a little bit of Starfield because I'm doing the Rook's logs on Starfield, so I play so I can get content for that. I also played some BG3, which is fun. But I need to really start focusing more on Starfield because I'm still doing my Halo, and that's bumming me out. So now I gotta get back into that game. But no, played BG3 with Wigit today, and it was fun. We went and picked on every fight we could possibly pick, and poor Wigit, man.
Yeah, my luck
Gets in one.
holds true.
Luckily he got dropped right next to my healer in this one fight, so she just turned over, max heal, turned back.
There was one fight where I got one attack in with both my characters.
Mm-hmm.
Boy,
It
dude.
doesn't help when they sat there and held you. Did hold person spell on Karlak.
And then just beat on me with like 3 different people at once.
Mm-hmm.
Yep,
Gonna have
loads
to
of
start
fun.
We're just gonna have to start calling you Will Wheaton because your roles.
So, speaking of that, I did a roll. The minimum roll was a 10. I rolled a 1. It's one of the few rolls in the game you can roll a 1 and not get a critical fail. My bonuses made it a 12.
Literally
I
no
was
way
like,
you
oh,
could even
thank
lose
God.
that.
No. I don't know if the game glitched or if that is like just one of those rolls where they expect you to pass.
All right, it was that one with talking to that merchant, right, to get the free stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's no
that
critical fail in that one.
yeah, I didn't
Trust me,
think
I
so.
know.
But this is also my first charisma-based character I've played because it's a paladin sorcerer combo.
That
Uh,
is a very strange combination.
It
Not
really is.
really. It's a build a lot of people apparently do. They call it a Sorkadin,
Yeah, that's a very weird build.
but they're both charisma based. Sorcerers use charisma stat to cast their spells. Paladin uses charisma to cast their spells. So it actually works out really well for me. And with me being tanky and now working on building my sorcerer spells, I'm hoping I can get strong enough and actually just become this real BA out there.
Yeah, and I had to. I grabbed Gale because we needed magic. We needed AoE magic, especially his upcoming fight. So
Mm-hmm.
I grabbed him, turned him into an AoE mage, so that we have that kind of power backing us.
And I keep forgetting just how good. What's that spell called? I can't remember the name of it now.
What does
It's
it
the
do?
one I. It's the one I cast when we were fighting the dead guys, and it just kept dropping them because the Spirit Guardians. There it is.
Yeah.
So Spirit Guardians is awesome because it does radiant damage, and I'm standing. I have Shadowheart standing right in the middle of all these dead zombie guys that these two zombie controllers want to keep bringing back, and as soon as they get up, they die.
So let me ask you something, Widget. You say
Yeah.
you made Gale your big bad AoE guy.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the first guy that always gets targeted every time you guys get into a battle?
Oh, he is definitely, but you got to keep him in the back. It's all about playing
He
his
get
positioning.
It really depends on if they can get to Gale, because I will compel them to attack me.
On my single player game, I have Gale as my AoE as well, and I keep him alive most fights because I keep him in the back and guarded. And he'll just run up, do his AoE, and I've wiped out 7 or 8 enemies at one time with him. It's a lifesaver in some of these fights when you have up to 20 different enemies coming at you.
What I may do is I may look at taking I forgot which one it is, but one of the feats at level 8 I may give Shadowheart so that way she can actually sit right next to him and cause them to give him a boost to his AC.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. Let's see. Me and my brother went out this morning with our Traxxas RC cars, and she has been fully repaired because I took back December of 2022. I ran her head first into a concrete light post and broke her plastic body right around the forward. What's it called? Drive. Now I can't think of it.
Always happens when you go in the air. You just lose your train of thought. It happens to me all the time.
Her forward differential. I cracked the whole body right through that, so I could pull it apart and see the differential. So I had to end up replacing the whole front end of my RC car. I have a Traxxas XRT. At the time, she was the newest one on the market, and she cost me $1,000 alone. The batteries and everything else cost me $1,400.
Buy a whole used car for that.
Yeah, but it's fun. She goes up to 50 miles an hour.
Jeez.
I took myself out with her.
To say, how do you even like see what you're doing with it? Like,
You can still see what it's doing and whatnot. It's just I make sure I have a clear path when I make her go that fast. But no, today we're jumping. We went to this in Crowley. There's a place called the Crowley Skate Park in Crowley, Texas, and we're jumping a little skate setup. It's not much of a skate park. They call it a skate park, but it's like 2 ramps on either side and then 1 jump in the middle and a couple of grinding spots. That's it.
fair.
So I jumped and she kept landing on her corners. So 3 of 4 axles are all bent. and her poor little fin on the back, the support struts.
Those things aren't cheap to repair, are they?
Actually, they are. That's what makes this brand of RC car not bad, because unless it's the drive shaft, the motor, or the struts, or it's a thin bar.
Okay.
And so now she still runs, but now I got a couple of things I got to replace on her. And it is, unlike an airplane, it is super maintenance friendly. And yes, I specified unlike an airplane because they can say they make them maintenance friendly, but I hate engineers.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Let's see. And then today, right before recording, I was watching me some Star Trek TNG.
Oh, nice. One
Yeah,
of my all-time favorites. My second favorite Star Trek series of all time. I'm gonna talk about this news right
that's my
now
second.
because you talked about it. Strange New Worlds renewed for season 4, with season 3 not even out yet.
Yeah,
They
they
just
did
got their
that.
renewal, and unfortunately, season 3 we're still waiting for it. It doesn't come out till 2025, but it's gonna have 10 episodes. And sadly, though, they announced that Lower Decks is ending with its season 5, which starts next month.
You know, I really like the fact that like these shows are coming out and they're like really awesome. Like the CGI and the effects and stuff are really awesome. But I have to say, like, I miss the good old days of like, like Smallville and Buffy the Vampire Slayer stuff when it was like 22 episode seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Like you got a season, you didn't get a couple episodes.
Well, that's
What?
also the thing with streaming, though, is that they don't have ads in the middle of it. So when they say like an hour show, it's an actual hour show. On TV, it was like
It was
35,
like
40 minutes
it's
because of
like
ads.
40 to 42 minutes an episode, but still 24 episodes at 42 minutes is still pretty
Used
long.
to it used to be they were 45 to 50 minutes, but now if you actually look time an episode now versus back in when we were young.
Yeah. It's like 40 to 42 minutes. But like my buddy, like me and him were talking the other day about the show Lost, and he's like, "Yeah, I rewatched through Lost and I didn't realize because it's only 6 seasons, but man, that's a long show."
Yeah.
Because it took me forever to get through it because there's like 22 episodes
And
per
that show was
season.
only
And
good for like the first 2 seasons.
Which
I
one?
Lost.
I thought it was good until the last season. I absolutely despised the last season, but
Like, my favorite TV series of all time, one of them, other than like Big Bang Theory, is called Chuck.
I like
And
Chuck.
my son and I, speaking about our special discussion here, this is one of my, every week, me and my son Tim would wait for Thursday night. We'd plan out dinner, we'd have the popcorn, we'd have the snacks, and him and I would watch Chuck every Thursday night. And it was the
That
best
was-
thing ever. And we were cheering when they announced the new season. And but
Yeah,
then,
me and oh, go ahead, finish up.
so season 1 through 4, amazing. They should have ended it on season 4. They had the right ending for it. They should have just ended it, but they did season 5 and it was trash.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
I
in our
hate when
minds,
they do that.
it was 4 seasons only, not 5.
I used to do the same thing with like with Lost when it was first on TV and stuff. I lived in an apartment complex and my cousin and his wife lived in that same apartment complex as well. Well, it was his girlfriend at the time, but like every Wednesday night we would all get together and pop the popcorn and we'd all sit there and watch through the episode of Lost for 6 seasons until that monstrosity of a last season happened, and then we were all just so mad.
Yeah, I wasn't a big. After I watched it out of curiosity and enjoyed the first season, but after that, I just lost interest.
Yeah. If you're watching it in the moment, it was a lot different than trying to go back and watch it now. Because when I go back and watch it now, I can't get very far. I just lose interest too.
Did you guys ever hear of the show King of the Nerds?
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
That was another one that me and my son had to watch every time it came out.
Yeah, I used to watch it, but sucks
actually-
because it was one of the nerdiest game shows out there, and they got rid of it.
Yeah, it was awesome. I actually am real life friends with the winner of the season 1, Celeste.
That's cool.
See, one thing I actually really, really like. I mean, yeah, the shortened seasons suck, but one thing I really like about Netflix is that they release the full season at a time instead of one
Like
week
what
at a
Amazon
time.
does, yeah.
Yeah, instead of the 1 week at a time, like
But see, I like that they do it 1 week at a time on Paramount Plus and those, because that gives me time to watch the other shows I need to watch.
well, they did that on Amazon too, because like The Boys, it was one
Mhm.
episode a week, and Lord of the Rings, one episode, or Rings of Power, one episode a week. I like binge watching. Like once I start watching, I don't want to have to wait anymore. Like I did all that when I was younger, and I'm impatient now. I
I was gonna say, one of your biggest flaws, buddy, and you don't have very many of them, is your lack of patience.
Especially like if I'm in a mode, like gaming wise, if I'm in a mode like I'm trying to build something, I want to sit there until it's built. I don't want to like, yeah, I'll come finish it tomorrow. It's like, nah, I'm gonna stay up till 3 in the morning because I want to finish this.
By the way, Strange New Worlds was renewed in April of this year.
Yeah, I just
For
saw the article
season
tonight
4.
about it, and I
Yeah.
was like, oh, yeah, I forgot about that. I couldn't remember
Yeah,
if
it's
we
actually-
said anything about it or not, but
We mentioned it. I don't think we made a big deal about it. But how good is a show when they released the news that they're renewing season 4 before they even started filming season 3.
Yeah, that
That's
show
nuts.
is my favorite show right now. That's
Mm-hmm.
in current production by far. It's my favorite
And
Star Trek series.
I
I
can
haven't
see
watched
them
a single
actually.
episode yet.
I can actually watch them take that and then roll into Kirk taking over the Enterprise.
Yeah,
So
that would be great.
that's, from what I understand, that is where they want to go.
But Pike is my new favorite captain. I'm gonna be sad when he goes.
Mm-hmm.
Guys,
We all
guess
know
what?
what happened to Pike.
Well, yeah, but still, he's still my favorite.
Guys, guess what?
What?
They've already renewed NFL season 26 too, or season 2026 too,
Jeez.
and 27 and 28.
It's called a CBA, sir.
All right, guys. What games or movies have we highly anticipated throughout our many years being alive?
Oh man,
I can tell you my biggest anticipated game ever was Wrath of the Lich King, an expansion.
yeah.
That one and the one previous that.
Okay, so when I was big into EverQuest, obviously, right? And when World of Warcraft was in production, I was in one of the biggest guilds in EverQuest, and me and one of my best friends, who also ran that guild with me, got invited to Blizzard's headquarters, and we got to get a sneak peek of World of Warcraft. So I was big anticipating World of Warcraft because it was for me being a big EverQuest player, it was the next step in MMORPGs, and it was I was so excited for it. I couldn't even tell you. I was sitting there in line waiting for it to come out.
I came late to the party in World of Warcraft. I was a holdout. I didn't know if I would like the idea of an MMO, but then I think I started playing about 2 months prior to the first expansion.
Burning Crusade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
and then obviously with those games, it's every expansion that came out, it was all these expansions on EverQuest have been out forever, and I'm still anticipating the re-release of Shadows of Luckland coming out on my TLP on the 10th.
So for me, I was playing. I played a very short stint of WoW when I was in Bahrain for 6 months. I played a very brief stint. I was not a big fan of it at the time, and I didn't get into it heavily until more recent years. Now, my biggest anticipated games, and the only games I've ever pre-ordered outside of Halo, both of them are 1 and 2, and I flip them each day on which one I thought was better. Star Trek Online and Knights of the Star Wars: The Old Republic.
Those aren't the only games you pre-ordered.
Well, at the time.
I was gonna say, because I know for a fact all of us had Starfield pre-ordered.
Yeah, but that wasn't as big of an anticipation as those other two games.
Yeah, I remember being pretty hyped for Star Wars: The Old Republic. I had that one pre-ordered, and I was one of those kids waiting for when the servers went live. That was a good game because I was also a a Star Wars Galaxies player. So
yeah, I was a Star Wars Galaxies player. That's why I didn't play WoW. But those are my biggest video game. Movies, that's a hard one.
Well, for me, video game wise, I think one of the most anticipated games for me was Starfield, and it was mainly because of this whole podcast thing that we started.
Yeah, that was really exciting.
It was the first time I had ever done a podcast, and we were all it wasn't just me being hyped about it, it was all of us being hyped about it, and we were on the air and we were getting other people hyped about it, and it was just it was almost like a high. I couldn't wait.
When we started getting thousands of listeners and stuff like that, it just added to the fuel.
And then that game came out, and I just couldn't stop playing it. I was so excited for it. So
that happened to me too with Skyrim and Elder Scrolls Online because of the same thing, podcast. But I think I had more fun and more hyped up about Starfield than those by far because of you guys. It was a blast.
And I mean, Shattered Space tomorrow. I've been hyped for this for over a year because Bethesda, when they let us pre-order Starfield, they told us as we were pre-ordering, oh, you'll get the Shattered Space expansion too. So we've known since day one that this expansion, what it was going to be called, we were getting it. And so
we do know they have confirmed we got 3 more expansions coming out, story expansions. So we'll see how that rolls.
Yeah. See, my problem is Shattered Space is one I cannot get excited for just because I can't enjoy it with y'all at the same time.
Because we can't play it online together.
Can't play it online together. I can't record podcasts with y'all because of my damn schedule. It's very, very annoying.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll do what we can. We'll do what we can. Figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
So on the flip side, I do like this next question on here. Which releases highly disappointed y'all?
Yeah, I got a couple of those, and it actually corresponded with my favorite releases of all time, Cataclysm. I was so hyped about it, and I played it for 2 months and completely quit. WoW. It ruined the game for me.
For me, I played Cataclysm pretty heavily. I was in a pretty big raid guild called Relentless, and we went pretty deep. Like, we did Cataclysm and all of them. But, like, I honestly, I agree with you. Like, every single, probably the last 5 expansions for World of Warcraft, every single one of them, I play it for a month, and then I never touch it again. And then the next one comes out, and I'll play it for a month, and I never touch it again. And this new one that just came out, The War Within, I haven't even bothered. I didn't even buy it.
For me, it was Mass Effect Andromeda. Because I read the books going into it. I actually played the game. I played, obviously, Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3. But I was highly disappointed at Mass Effect Andromeda.
My absolute biggest disappointment out of any game that I was so hyped for, and I'm sure 90% of our listeners will agree with me here, it was Diablo 4. I was such a big Diablo 3 player, and I was so hyped for it, and it came out, and I was just like, ugh, really? Like, and so far, I mean, it is getting better, but, like, I mean, they have an expansion coming out in a couple days on the 8th, but I'm not planning on buying it right now. I'll probably get it later on, maybe, because to be honest with you, Path of Exiles 2 comes out in November, and that looks 100 times better. So I might just skip the Diablo expansion altogether and go straight to Path of Exile.
Yeah, that may not be a bad idea, huh? I'm still pretty burned about the whole Diablo 4 thing.
Path of Exiles 2 looks absolutely amazing, though. It looks so good, and Path of Exiles 1 was really good as well. It got really complicated, so like if you've never played it before and you tried to play it now, you'd be like, I'm so confused. But they simplified everything and made it like a lot more streamlined, and they just made Path of Exile so user-friendly and so good. So, I don't know. It's going to be hard for Blizzard to compete when they keep putting out extremely subpar games.
What about movies? Like I was the most hyped up I've ever been for a movie in my life was not long ago, was 2 years ago, and that's when Avatar 2 came out. I remember being in the theater, and the preview of that came on. I didn't know the preview was even out yet, and I dropped my popcorn and everything, was just the edge of my seat watching the preview. I'm a huge Avatar fan, and the second movie, I was beyond pumped for it. The second it released in theaters, I was there watching it in IMAX.
So you really, really enjoyed the story of Pocahontas, huh?
We're not going there.
Oh, I love messing with you about that.
My most anticipated was back when I was a little kid, and it was for the first Mortal Kombat movie.
Honestly, my most anticipated movies were the Lord of the Rings movies. When those came out, I was out midnight showing for every single one of them. Same with the Harry Potters. I went to the midnight showing of every single Harry Potter movie. Of course, I was also midnight release of every single Harry Potter book too. So
we know how I feel about Harry Potter. I'm not going to go there.
All the Star Trek Next Generation movies I actually went and saw in theaters, but I didn't just wait to go watch them. When I was a kid, I was always asking to go watch the Mortal Kombat movie when it released, and was not disappointed as a kid. Then
the
2 came out and got...
Yeah, the first one wasn't bad. The second one, on the other hand...
Now, on that same note...
I'm so glad they never made Mortal Kombat Annihilation. I'm so glad that never happened.
I was also highly anticipating the very first...
Street Fighter?
Deadpool movie.
Oh, yes, Deadpool. But that did not disappoint at all. Those movies are all amazing.
But you know what release highly disappointed me?
What?
Annihilation.
And that doesn't exist. It can't.
That's in the same realm as that Shazam, that Sinbad movie that doesn't exist, that the genie one that everyone says doesn't exist. It's in that same realm. And for all you punks that I won't mention any names that never went and saw Deadpool and Wolverine, it's going to be on Disney Plus on October 1st, which
Good.
is
I'll
I
watch
don't
it
have
on
a
Disney
subscription to
Plus.
Disney Plus.
I
2
do.
days from 2 days.
Guess who's going to
It'll be
watch
there.
it since I can watch it at work or I can watch it at
But
home?
people know how I feel about Disney too.
Yeah,
I keep Disney Plus because I can still watch all the Star Wars stuff.
I keep Disney Plus because I have children and they like all the old Disney movies and the ones that were actually decent. And my son likes watching Mickey Mouse Clubhouse and Bluey. Bluey, hands down, the best children's cartoon that has ever existed. I'm just saying. It's so good.
No, Barney was.
No, Barney wasn't a cartoon, but Bluey is amazing.
We all grew up with Transformers and G.I.
DuckTales.
Joe and DuckTales and all that. So those were the best cartoons.
One of my sons, like my almost 10-year-old son's favorite cartoons is the new DuckTales.
DuckTales.
My eye twitches.
Woo!
My eye twitches every time he watches it because it's not DuckTales, dang it. Watch the old one.
Hey guys, if you could design a video game and it was just for what you would want in a video game, what would it be?
An open world Star Trek game where you can visit every planet in the Star Trek universe that is named, and you can actually travel around and go and explore the entire interior of the ship.
So you want basically Star Trek meets Starfield.
No, I want Star Wars Galaxies in the Star Trek universe.
Oh yeah, Star Wars Galaxies was good.
Because those big ships in Star Wars Galaxies, you could actually explore and have a crew on. I want something like that for Star Trek.
Huh.
Fair enough. See, the game that I would want to make, I already started making. I'll get in that later. What about you, Archon?
For me, it would be like, for a long time, there was a game in production. I don't know if you guys ever heard of it, but it was called EverQuest Next.
Yeah, I have heard of it.
And it was like a more modernized version of EverQuest. It was a giant MMO game, except like anytime you would fight and battle and like affect the world in any way, like say you were fighting a dragon and you throw a fireball at it and it blew a chunk out of the side of the mountain, that chunk stayed gone out of the side of the mountain. Like you affected the world and how you played it. And then they also had an aspect to it that was called Landmark, where like you could have your own homes and stuff like that, but you got those homes by like basically it was like a Minecraft type situation. So it was like an MMO meets Minecraft. So you still had your raids, you still did all the things, but you could go and you could mine materials, you could find materials, you could find cut down different trees and stuff, and then bring them back to your place and like build. And it was the coolest concept ever. They actually released a beta version of Landmark, which was the building portion of the game. It was so much fun. It was like Minecraft, except like I don't want to say better, but it was better because like you could craft what you wanted. It wasn't limited to blockiness. Like you could craft round buildings if you want to craft round buildings. You could make houses that look like houses instead of blocks. It was, I guess, similar-ish to Enshrouded, but just, I don't know, in my opinion, it was even more in depth than Enshrouded as far as the building goes. And I think that would be really cool to have like an MMO where you actually affect the world.
The difficulty of that would be insane, but that would be really awesome.
So,
Sorry, they like the way they did it is like I think it was like once a month or something like that resets where like the world would kind of reset itself and regrow a little bit like every month.
so there's a game out there that made it where you could build one by one, not pixels, but I forgot what they called it. But your ship was built the same way as building your houses, and it's called Dual Universe. It's an ambitious game, but I just don't think the technology is to the level it needs to be for them to be able to do exactly what they were wanting to do.
Yeah, I wish you guys could have checked out Landmark because that game was actually super fun. It was easily as addictive as Minecraft.
Now, there was one game I was following hardcore back in the day, and if money wasn't an option and I could get the rights to it, I would contact Sparkplug Games and ask them to continue and finishing building Firefly Online.
Ooh.
I was a lead environmental designer for a game called Uthros that never made it to launch because Wizards of the Coast backed away. We were doing the mechanics in the background of D&D, but the way the game was built was that we had giant sections of land. It was a complete planet to where you could keep walking and keep traveling one direction, and eventually you'll wind up at that same spot again. Multiple continents. It was giant, but what the thing about it was is that guilds could actually buy land in the open world and build their guild hall and city all around it, and it stayed there. It was persistent until another guild took over. If it was an PvP style server, and that would have been pretty cool.
They had a game that did that. It's called Star Wars Galaxies.
Well, they had a game that
It was not like
another
that.
game. They had another game called Lineage 2 that was very similar as a Korean based
I know about
like
Lineage,
basically
yeah.
MMO, and it was the same way where you could build up castle towns and stuff, and then there'd be these giant sieges where other guilds would come and try and take over your castle and take over your land, and then they could tear down your castle or just build upon it, and that was actually kind of a fun game.
Never played that one.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. It
game-
was a Korean-based game.
I heard about Lineage and Lineage 2. I actually played Lineage 2 a little bit.
Yeah, I did too for a while. Imagine, oh gosh, my mind just went blank. Oh, imagine if they were to actually create a real working world like in Ready Player One.
Yeah.
That would be pretty freaking sweet.
The
Except for
game-
the whole like being able to like zero yourself out and like lose all your real life money. That would suck. But like, imagine if they actually made a real game like that. That would be amazing.
It would have to be the same kind of idea that they did in Ready Player One. It would have to be multiple servers and people designing they're adding to the content themselves because you couldn't do it with a studio.
Yeah,
No,
it's
that
too
would be-
massive of a scale.
I was just going to say the only bad part about the Ready Player One model is that we have too many idiots in the world.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's been proven recently.
just like in Ready Player One.
Valid.
All right,
And
tell us about your game, Joe.
Ready Player One as a book was amazing. The movie, not as much.
It's one of my favorite movies of all time.
It's not as good as the book. It's
I've
still
never
a
read the
good
book.
movie. It's just not as good as the book.
Yeah, I've never read the book. That's why.
And, you got to listen to the audiobook because Will Wheaton reads it.
Nice.
Okay, now I
have
got to
to
listen to
it.
audiobook.
It is
I'm gonna have to
really,
get that
really
one.
good,
I might have to. Yeah.
including the sequel, Ready Player 2. Anyway, the game I was developing that we actually had a team working on it was originally called Project Boss Mode. And the premise behind it was a reverse JRPG. We wound up eventually calling it Outcast Rising, and I put the logo in our little group chat. If you guys want to look at that? That was done by one of the artists.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
And the premise behind it was you were playing as the outcasts, monsters that were thrown away from society because they were either ugly or, little slightly evil, that kind of thing. And they create their own
Slightly.
society outside of, civilized society. And the civilized society doesn't like it anymore, so they send in a group of 5 heroes to come take you out, wipe you out. So the game combined JRPG elements as well as strategy. So there was a fixed amount of dungeons. I think we had 12. And each dungeon, you had a certain amount of mob points that you had allocated for that dungeon. And each point would only allow a certain amount of mobs. So you have to figure out which mobs you're going to place in that dungeon before the heroes arrive, at what location, how you want to synergize it with the different types of mobs. You could get from common to rare, epic, and legendary mobs depending on buying them and stuff. It gets really, really complicated. But the premise is multiple endings, because New Game Plus was a thing. We figured that you will not be able to beat the game for at least 5 times through, because the whole idea is to kill all the heroes before they ever get to the main boss, the last boss at the end. You controlled the boss in each dungeon, which you could upgrade, you could add skills to it, the whole 9 yards like you would in an RPG. You can even get different variants of them if you got lucky on drops. It got to the point where the best ending you could possibly get would be to defeat the heroes in the very first dungeon. Kill them. That was estimated to take at least 20 to 30 playthroughs to get to that point.
Wow.
And you set up all the dungeons before the heroes arrive, where you want to place your mobs, the traps, you'd get limited amount of traps you could use, which you can upgrade those as well. And you're trying to kill the heroes, and you got your rewards after the heroes took on your boss in that dungeon. If you wound up killing one of the heroes, you get a higher tier loot chest. Now, if they got resurrected, the tier lowers a little bit, so it made you really focus on the healer. And the heroes were randomized. There was 2 different tanks that could happen, because when the game started, it randomized which heroes are going to be coming after you. 1 of 2 different tanks, a paladin, warrior. 1 of 3 different healers. There was 3 different mages, 3 different rogue style or melee DPS, and 3 different fighter styles. So it would randomize 1 healer, 1 tank, and 3 different DPS. So you never knew which one you're going to get until the very beginning of the game when you started. So that was the whole premise, is that you were watching this RPG happen, but you're the bad guy trying to kill the heroes. with the bad guys having their own relatable story behind them. And yeah, I was looking through my design document. We had every single item, trap, monster, everything laid out. Now, if I can get a team together, I would love to build this game someday again.
You know, the funny thing is if you look at a lot of stories, it involves somebody who's slightly different and then some heroes that gotta go wipe them out because they're different. And a lot of times, a lot of stories, if you look at them, bad guys aren't necessarily the bad guys. So I like that premise. That's a really cool premise for a game because, like, I don't know, they did like a whole. It's a little wonky and kind of on the same premise, but they did like a whole Disney series. I know you hate Disney, but it's called The Descendants, where the story takes place from the bad guy's perspective, and the good people are like outcasting them. They're putting them on the island, and they're like, "Yeah, you need to be sequestered from us because you're bad."
I remember being a kid, always wondering what it'd be like to play as the bad guys in these games.
Yeah,
that's when I was into Chrono Trigger and all that kind of stuff. Like, how would that play out? And I even figured out a system where if a tank taunts, your characters had to forcefully attack him for so many turns. You couldn't target anybody else, that kind of thing. So you had to play against the actual standard RPG elements that were against you.
Huh.
Yeah, it was an ambitious little project. The code behind it wouldn't have been terrible to do, but the art and all the content design would take a long time to do because there's too many random variables that had to be placed into the world. We had a working combat system.
I know an artist.
Yeah, I would need quite a few.
I don't know. Like, I've always, if I'm ever given the option, I always like World of Warcraft. Always played Horde, like for the most part. Like after the initial launch of the game, I always played Horde.
But who's the good guys and who's the bad guys in WoW?
Technically, in WoW, the Horde is not the bad guys. They're actually the good guys.
Yeah, they are.
If you pay attention to the story, like the Alliance are jackholes, for lack of a better term.
The good guys are always jackholes.
The good guys are always self-righteous jackholes, in most of these games. Like,
see, the way I look at it is the Horde and the Alliance are the two faces of the good guys, and all these story arcs are all the bad guys.
Yeah, I kind of like that premise. Like, I would play that game for sure. I'd be all over it.
And the whole point of it was the new game plus, and we had 27 endings planned based on when and how you killed the heroes. So. Yeah, and you would get different rewards, like how you finished your first New Game Plus, you would get bonus rewards at the end of it to help you, and all your monsters and bosses would carry on with their upgrades and stats to the next new game, getting stronger and stronger and stronger until you're able to take out the heroes in the first dungeon.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be pretty fun. I'd be about that. I know there is a game out there where you play as the bad guys, but it's not the same as what you're talking about.
No, I know what you mean. It's one of my favorites, Overlord.
Yeah, Overlord.
We got a little bit of time for some news if you guys want to dive into a little bit of it. Not too much time.
I had one thing, just one little tidbit since we have talked about a lot of Blizzard games and stuff. Mm-hmm. I actually just saw a news article today that they announced that StarCraft Remastered and StarCraft 2, like the complete edition with all the expansions, is coming to Game Pass
in November. So it's in the news.
And they also, I don't know if this is in the news because I didn't read it, and they also leaked basically that a new StarCraft is in the works.
Oh, really? No, that I haven't heard anything about.
Yeah.
That is extremely popular game in South Korea.
It is. Oh, yeah, there it is. StarCraft 2. Yeah. It's the remastered edition. But yeah, I was always a big StarCraft player. I loved StarCraft 1. I didn't get into StarCraft 2 as much as I did StarCraft 1 because I kind of hated the fact that they split the different races into separate stories. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to have to buy basically 3 games to get the story for each class. That kind of irritated me.
Yeah.
Especially since they made the class I like the most, the third one. And you have to buy all 3 to get to it because I love Protoss.
That's when Blizzard started their whole money-hungry phase that helped end them.
I always loved Protoss. I liked Zerg too, but I always loved Protoss. They were just like one of my favorite races. So, but yeah, they did announce that a third one is in the works.
Square Enix announced that they brought Final Fantasy 1 through 6 remastered editions to Xbox.
That's good.
Ooh, if they're gonna be on Game Pass,
they are. Well, it's not free. You got to pay for them, but they're there. You can do them. 1 and 2 are just under $10 a piece, and 3 through 6 are $15 each. Or you can buy all 6 of them for $60.
Those are good games. Every single
Yeah.
one of them are fabulous games.
I would love to play 3 again, which was
That's one thing.
actually what the original number. I forgot what it was.
3 is 6.
Yeah.
3 is 6 in Japan.
And then they also announced that the Mana series, including Secret of Mana, remastered will be coming in the near future.
Yeah, I knew that they were working on those. Especially, I heard about Legends and Secret of Mana.
And if they can do the
Oh.
multiplayer still, that would be fun. Just saying.
That would be neat.
I'm just saying.
Where's my Chrono Trigger remaster?
Since we're on the whole game thing, Star Wars Outlaws has pretty much been deemed by a lot of critics as I heard one of them call it a crappy masterpiece. And Ubisoft recently announced that they are going to be rebuilding the game with a long string of updates coming in the near future.
So the best review I've seen on this, and it's not the best review, it's the way it was worded, is why I liked it. It said, if you're looking for a game where you're just playing in the Star Wars universe, this is awesome. But if you want a well-written master-crafted Star Wars story, look elsewhere.
Yeah, I actually saw the very first review I read on this said this would have been an amazing Star Wars game on the Nintendo 64.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
But
pretty sad.
nowadays it just doesn't cut it. I don't know. I was. This is one of those ones that I was actually hyped for, but then after reading the reviews, I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't
that's what
think I'm
caused
gonna
me
buy
to.
it.
If you guys listened to the show for a while, I was even hyped about it for a little bit. Thought the premise behind it was really cool, but then they started announcing like the reviews and stuff like that. And I just
All the
not for me.
glitches and
Yeah.
the speeder bike just randomly going away on its own, and people glitching through walls and.
So there's a lot of that's what's killing it mostly are all these bugs. They have a chance of turning it around, just like Cyberpunk 2077 or No Man's Sky.
But here's the problem, and this is what I was worried about from day one. It's made by Ubisoft. They're notorious for ruining my hopes and not making good games. So
Yeah.
Well, give them a chance. Let's see what they can
if
fix.
it was from a good, like if it was from like BioWare or something, I'd be like, ooh, okay, all
I'd
right.
still be iffy if it was from BioWare, thanks to EA Games.
Yeah, BioWare was a very good company.
One of the
before
worst
EA
things that ever happened to the game industry is all these buyouts.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
definitely. Because they were very good before they got bought out.
Yep, many of them were.
Just like even my beloved EverQuest, when it was ran by Sony Online Entertainment, it was fabulous. But then when they sold it out to Daybreak, it just
To me,
now I
it's
think it's
not.
owned by somebody else.
To me, it's not the fact that they got bought out. It's the fact that EA Games used to make good games, but then they got greedy, and then they started rushing all of these publishers that they buy out.
Yeah, there was a
instead
new
of giving the
CEO that took
publishers-
over. I forgot his name, but he kind of changed the business model for
Mhm.
that money grabbing, and they just kind of tanked immediately after that. And they still keep them in there because they're showing profit margins, yet the players are the ones that are still suffering.
See, if
Yeah,
they would
we-
actually take a step back and say, all right, BioWare, build the game. You have 3 years to show really good progress. Then
Well,
I could...
we kind of talked about this on the show before, but like the gaming industry nowadays, they don't care if they release a finished game anymore because we'll just put in updates or DLC or
Yep.
they release these like half-finished games and then just rely on patching and DLCs. Where back in the day they used to release the game. Like when you bought a game, you bought the game.
Yeah, but
You didn't-
I remember playing some really buggy games on consoles.
Yeah, but like when you bought a game, you bought a game. Like you bought the game and it was a good game. Like
I remember making games during that time period. The
didn't-
going gold nightmare.
yeah, it's just like nowadays, like you buy a game and you're like,
So
I guess I'll wait for the
nowadays,
DLC.
you don't buy the game. You buy the license to play the game.
Yeah, pretty much.
Sometimes.
California, and that's the only thing I like about California, when it comes to laws, is that they are requiring all the stores to notify the buyer they are not buying the game; they're buying the license to play the game.
Yeah,
Even
unless
if you buy the hard disk, if you buy the hard disk, all it has is the DRM on it for it.
Right, exactly. There's no
Right.
actual physical media anymore.
And nowadays, like the proof of this is nowadays try and play one of your games when you're not connected to the internet. Most of them you can't anymore. You can't even play them if you're not connected. And
That is the
like,
one good thing I like about going through Steam, because Steam requires them to put a game on there that has accessibility offline. They store the key on your profile.
Yeah.
right, but what happens if Steam ever goes bankrupt or shuts down? Then all those licenses you had are worthless.
Pretty much.
They're gone. All the games you bought, you no longer can play. And
Thankfully, Steam's stupid profitable, so.
yeah, but it's still okay. So what if something along the lines of that whole Crunchyroll thing happens, where Steam gets bought out by someone else?
Steam's actually buying out other people.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying, like in general, like if they like Crunchyroll got bought out, and now all of a sudden all those animes that people owned, now suddenly they have to rebuy them again if they want to watch them, and it's like that's terrifying.
Yeah.
Like when I buy a game, I want to buy a game. Dang it! Like that's one thing I like about like my like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Like I can play that game completely offline.
There's several games on my Steam and stuff like that that I have in different areas that you can buy offline.
But I'm saying like I have the physical copy of the disc. I can put it in my PlayStation and I can play it without being connected to anything.
I can do that with all my Steam games.
But not if Steam ever shut down.
Yes,
that's
I
what
can.
I'm saying. If Steam ever shut down, how would you play
The client to Steam, once you actually have it downloaded and it's on your hard drive, you can play it without ever getting reconnected to the internet.
You guys ever hear of GOG.com?
No.
They are a Steam, but for old PC games.
I'll have to check them out.
They build it. They built all of them to be playable on modern OS systems. Like my favorite game on PC I've ever played was Settlers 3, and I own it on GOG.com, and I can actually play it on my Windows 11.
Nice.
Can I play like the old school Diablo?
I don't know. You have to look.
Oh, interesting.
Anyway, that's gonna wrap up our show tonight. I'm pretty sure we could have talked a lot more. We had a lot more news and stuff like that, like usual, but we're not gonna get into that. If you guys want to reach this show for business or suggestions, things like that, podcastraw@gmail.com. The place to be if you guys want to reach us or talk to like-minded people, see the things that we don't talk about on the air, discord.gg/raw podcasts, RAWPODCASTS. Our Facebook is Raw Podcasts. Our Instagram,
It's Raw Podcast 1.
and our Twitter, aka X, is at Podcast Raw. You can follow us individually as well. I am at The Wigit, THEWIGIT, on everything. You can even search The Wigit on Google, and you can find my books.
They're good books. Get them. You can follow me everywhere, or almost everywhere, as some variation of Tomcat213, or on Steam and X, you can find me as Rook213.
And you can find me on all social media as the Archon606, or on all video game platforms as QuickQWICK_D_606.
Thank you so much for listening, everybody, and have a fantastic nerdy week.
Live long and prosper.
Have a great week, guys.